Overtime Heroics podcast number 2 with Rob and myself, James. Afternoon, Rob. How's things with you? All right?
It's going all right, mate. How about you?
Always good to hear, mate. All excited for this event coming Friday, yeah?
Yeah.
Great. So obviously, we'll get straight into it, mate. October the 30th. I think it's midday in the UK. I'm not sure what time it's going to be around the world. Inside the Matrix, One Championship are bringing their big boys out.
I am genuinely really excited for this one. I mean, MMA cards in general over the past few months have been hit and miss, should we say?
Yeah.
This one's stacked. It genuinely is. I love that they've managed to get so many people together on one big card for one huge event. It's awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I mean the names. I mean, not one, not two, 4 title fights.
Yeah, and the other thing, I just love that it's getting to the. I was almost forgetting that one was MMA focused for a little while. All the fights out of Thailand. I love Muay Thai; it's brilliant. But the quality of the MMA over the past 2 events has just skyrocketed as soon as they got to Singapore, and this one I can't see it going any other way.
Oh no, it's going to be a phenomenal card, whatever happens. I mean, obviously you're familiar. We, myself and you, did the Inside the Matrix Media Day last night. Night before last, sorry. And they were saying on there that there's going to be 200. I think it was 250 people is going to be in attendance. They're somehow managing to socially make it good to go. So there's going to be some form of audience there. Which is always going to be good, because while it's nice to hear the sounds and the grunts of the fighters, knocking 7 colours of shit into each other, it's great to have that little bit of support in the stadiums and so on. But also, it's, as you say, it's bringing that atmosphere back.
Yeah, I mean, I found it odd watching the past few. I mean, but the thing is, it's the same with the UFC, and it's the same with. Has Bellator been doing it like that? There's another organisation been doing it with empty audience.
I think Bellator's been. I think I'm not sure if they did have someone in Paris, if they had any form of audience in Paris. I can't really remember that one. But I know the other ones was behind closed doors, weren't they?
Yeah, but it's a little more exciting when there's someone live screaming about it. I mean, I just think it gives a really different feel to the fights when it's 2 people, it's dead silence, and all you can hear is the corners shouting. Or if someone's going for it and you start getting that crowd screaming, just a completely different dynamic. And I hope the 250 people, whoever they are, I hope they are loud, because that'll make a whole difference.
Yeah, let's be honest. I mean, the fans out there are fans, aren't they? I mean, I'm sure we can all. I know it's in Singapore. This one is, but I'm sure we can remember the famous fight where Nsang won out in his home country of Myanmar. I mean, I've never ever seen a live audience like that. Mm-hmm. I've been to events. I've seen them on TV. It was insane. I mean, they support their fighters out there like it's life or death.
Oh yeah, and I don't actually know most nationalities of the guys on here, but a lot of them are going to be training out of Evolve. So a lot of them are going to be local people for the event. So yeah, going to believe there's going to be some support behind them.
Yeah, I know there's definitely a few of the locals there. So obviously what we're going to do, we'll do a card breakdown, because I mean, basically it warrants it. But I think the best way for us to do this now really is going to be bouts 1 and 2. They're going to be great fights to set the card off, but obviously we've got 4 title fights to cover, and we can't go talking for an hour and a half to cover this full card. So I think the best way we do it, we'll obviously mention now, bout 1, Rita Fogart versus No Street Pow. Women's fight, 2 great fighters. I know Rita is on the Apprentice series, that's going to be happening with Chattery pretty soon. We go into them bout 2, Antonio the Spartan Caruso versus former champion Edward Folliang, who I believe is on a 3-fight lose streak at the moment. So he's going to want to prove a bit of a point against a tough competitor there in Caruso.
Yeah, I guess it's a little fall from grace. So I guess a bit of an extra spark to him, I guess. Bit of extra motivation.
Yeah, makes him a little bit more dangerous for me. Again, he was answering questions at the media event, and he's definitely. I mean, he says he was working on areas that he's seen in his game that needed improving, which, I mean, it shows the dedication of these guys. I mean, this is a guy that's been fighting for years, former champion, yet he's still humble enough to admit that he had holes in his game. He recognised them. I believe it was his ground game he said had needed work on. So that's definitely going to be, it's going to be a good fight to challenge the title fights. But I don't think it quite warrants enough that we're going to have to put into the effort of the rest of them.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that brings us on to first title fight. Xiong Na. Oh, sorry, I completely forgot her name.
It's a pretty good effort. I mean, let's be honest, I'm Welsh myself. I can't be correcting anyone on the pronunciation of anything, can I?
No, and then Tiffany Teo, slightly easier.
Definitely.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably the one I'm going to know the best. They last fought, what was it, 2 years ago? Going on 3 years ago, I think.
2018, wasn't it?
Yeah,
early 2018, I believe.
Yeah, so going on 3 years ago, that is the only loss on Tiffany's record. It's almost a grudge match. I mean, I think she's been quite not hostile about it, sort of like talking about redemption rather than revenge. So
yeah,
that's nice to see.
Passion shining through, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's good. It's very it's very the sort of respect aspect of it. It plays very much into the organization's ethos, but
yeah,
it
definitely.
will be, at the same time, she's still avenging a loss, and it's her only loss in a professional record, and it'd be really interesting to see.
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, for me personally, how do you think Xiong is going to do coming back from her recent loss? I mean, obviously, last fight out was October last year, I believe it was. So you're talking roughly a year. And obviously, it was against, I mean, probably the greatest female fighter in one currently, Angela Lee.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's going to affect her much, to be quite honest. Partly because, well, she won the first match. She smashed it. I mean, I know she was in colossal danger in the first fight with Angela Lee, regarding the submission. Spent basically the entire fourth round in a triangle / armbar.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
But came out and finished her in the end. The fact they had a rematch, dropped down a weight, I think. But yeah, of course, they dropped down a weight.
Yeah, it was something. Yeah, that's right. It was, wasn't it?
Which, I mean, I almost wonder if that's worse for one athlete. Since they can't dehydrate, that means you've got to lose all of that body mass to get down to that weight. That almost seems worse for your performance long term.
Yeah, it's one of those ones open for debate for sure. I mean, I suppose it's the fighters themselves that would be able to tell you a bit better. But I know for myself, cutting weight in the past, the hydration thing is a right pain in the ass, I got to be honest.
Yeah, but whatever the case is, it was under really different circumstances, and it was still a really competitive match. It was a fifth round finish, I think.
Yes, yeah, that's right.
And yeah, like you said, one of the best female fighters in the world. Not really much shame in losing to her.
No, definitely.
I don't think it's likely to knock her confidence very much, especially since she beat Tiffany, it was a while ago now, but she won that fight, and she has won every single fight in the past 3 years, apart from that one against Angela Lee.
Yeah.
I mean, what are your thoughts on it? Do you think it's what do you think is going to happen with the rematch?
I mean, for me, I suppose I'm going to jump into the prediction a little bit earlier, but for me, I can't see how Xiong isn't going to get the second win over Tiffany, unfortunately. Tiffany's a great fighter. She's a very sort of, like a little bulldog, I suppose. She gets in there, she sort of really gets at it. You've got to fight on your hands, I suppose, best way of putting it. But I just think, as you say, to lose to Angela Lee, it's not far off a win, is it? You're not going to lose sleep over losing to her. While it might not be in the result she wanted, it's nothing at all to feel shame over. And as you say, I personally don't think it's going to affect the confidence. If she hadn't previously had that win over Tio, then it may have done a little bit more. But I think she already has Tio's number. First time round, it was an early finish, I believe, as well, wasn't it?
Not that early. I think it was like third or fourth round.
Third, yeah, but about the third round. So
I tell you, the thing is, though, that first fight, and I don't want to sound harsh to Tiffany, but she just didn't have anything. Like, it was a good fight. Don't get me wrong. She was competitive, but she wasn't threatening. There was never a point where she was threatening with a submission. There were never points where she was landing enough strikes to warrant sort of the ref taking a close look. She doesn't. First time around, she didn't have the tools to beat. She didn't have the tools to win. She was reaching too far to block the punches. She didn't have a stiff enough jab to keep Jingnan off her. And she kind of got run over in the end of it. Like, by the end, she's backing up. She's not able to mount any offense. And her fights since, I know Tiffany's won every single fight, but they've both been against quite heavy grappling game.
Yeah.
It's, one was a judoka, one was a jiu-jitsu. I don't even know how you say it. Like,
yeah, so it sounds about right. We'll give
someone who does jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Both times not striking heavy, and her striking carried through. And she did display some good straight punches, which is what you need to win. But the difference is that Angela Lee didn't take a step back, kept those forward punches coming strong, and is stronger in the clinch, whereas Tiffany is not that strong in the clinch. She's got a good inside trip, and she could end up getting Jingnan on her back. But from there, I don't know what offense she can mount.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's the perfect time really to jump into our predictions for this one. As I say, I've gone Jingnan. I think it's going to be round about mid-fight again, round about the third. Maybe late third, early fourth, possibly if Tio puts up a good fight. And I could see it probably being a TKO. I don't think Jingnan's necessarily got enough power to sort of get the full-on finish, but I think it's going to be the referee ain't going to have much option other than step in. I think it's going to be a bit of a barrage of shots coming in, really.
I think we're going to see basically a repeat of last time, because I've not seen enough from Tiffany to suggest that she's changed up her game. I think she's going to come out. I think she's going to get pressured back. I think she's going to eat a lot of overhand rights. And I think it'll be a TKO again.
Yeah, I can't really see past that, to be honest, mate. I like you going on about the overhand right there, though, because I think it leads into our next fight perfectly, really. Bout 4, featherweight championship, almost like you planned it. We'd say Martin Nguyen, known for his overhand rights.
He is
taking on Tan Lee, known for coming out and finishing his opponents early. What a fight! Potential for fight of the night.
Yeah, I'm wondering that. I mean, I think these two guys, I think they've got a lot in common in their style. There are some differences. Like Martin Nguyen is one of the very few people in MMA one championship, who have taken up the calf kick, which is odd. Just as an aside, very few people seem to have taken that up in the UFC. One of the most popular moves at the moment, but Martin Nguyen, one of the very few to do it. But they're both, they've both got hands. Apparently Vietnam just makes punches just in a fantastic way.
That way, for sure.
Right? They're both quite, they're both quite mobile in their own way. I don't expect it to go to the ground. I expect it's going to be a bit of a brawl.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. It's either going to be one of these really quick sort of, oh my God, he's hit him, he can't get back up, or they're going to be scrapping at it for a good couple of rounds. While I'm not disrespecting either guy's ground game, I don't feel either are really known for that. Obviously, Martin trains at let me get it right now. Is it Sanford MMA?
I'm not
Out
sure.
with, obviously out without Nsang and Martin Usman.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I mean, we know the guy can grapple. There's no doubt about that. Obviously Gilbert Burns was out there for a while at some point as well, wasn't he? So I mean, there's some good. He's training with top class grapplers, so I got no doubt he can do it. I just don't see it going that way.
I've not seen enough from either of them in grappling. It's not their forte.
No, it's not. They like to hit. It's as simple as that. They like to go out. They like to make sure the other guy knows all about them. And I mean, we've seen it. You had Martin suffered his first loss to Gafarov. He goes on, gets 3-4 fights, I believe, before he got the rematch. Second round, after nearly getting submitted to the same move he lost the first fight to, comes out, that big overhand right comes out, night.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, I'll tell you what, I think they've both got powerful crosses, whether it's the overhand right or the overhand left, because obviously Thang Lee's a southpaw.
Yeah.
You know what I think the key difference between them is that I guess it's two parts. It's firstly, whereas Martin Nugent focuses on leg kicks quite a lot and does very effectively at them, Thang Lee's got that brilliant high kick going on.
Yeah.
That left side high kick, which works really well against orthodox fighters. I think that could be interesting to I think it'd be interesting. I think if he comes out, keeps that southpaw, protects him from that calf kick and those leg kicks, because it's much harder to land the calf kick when it's an orthodox versus southpaw fighter. It then allows him to impose that high kick on Martin Nugent and possibly gives him a bit of an edge there.
Yeah, there is that. For me personally, as far as the kicks come into it, and Tan actually touched on this in the media day, Martin is a very disciplined, clever fighter. I think Tan's best opportunity to catch him with one of those kicks is going to be if he already has him hurt. In which case, for me, the writing would already be on the wall anyway. Because to be fair, Tan hurts you. Unless you're lucky to get saved by the bell, I don't really see you coming back. I mean, that guy has got venom in his left hand. I mean, we saw it. 2 out of his 3 victories in 1 have come in the first round. The third victory came within, if I remember right, the first sort of 20 seconds of round 2. It's almost like he's impatient. He doesn't want to be in there. It's like, I'm coming in, I'm doing this job, let's get out here. But I just got a feeling that Martin's discipline is going to sort of see through that. First round, I can see it being a very sort of cagey round. I think Tan would be looking to engage more than Martin personally for the first round. I think by the second round, Martin will have hopefully either sort of noticed alls, or he's going to start letting his hands go a little bit more. Either way, I personally don't see it going past the second or third.
I think it's going to be it's whoever manages to slide down and land that cross first. They're going to be, both of them, they're going to try and slide down the outside and land either that overhand right or the counter left. And whoever lands that is then going to be able to start running away with it. I don't know who it's going to be though. They're both quick. Martin's very good at moving out, getting out of the way and getting back. Thang Lee, if anything, is a bit better laterally and being mobile. But, the more mobile, the more laterally you're moving, the more leg kicks you expose yourself to. So I don't know if that's actually going to help him. It's whoever slides down and hits that shot first.
Yeah, it's almost like we're talking about the heavyweights, really, isn't it? This is sort of conversation we have with the big guys.
Oh, whoever lands the hand first, yeah.
Yeah, whoever lands our big hit. But we're not. We're talking about the featherweights. It's crazy to be talking that way, really. I mean, you expect more of a technical war, but I just don't see that with this fight. While both guys got extremely strong technique, I just don't see it going that way. And they're both very respectful and like each other as well. which is good to see. I mean, Tan came out in the media day and he actually expressed that after this fight, he'd like to potentially spend a bit of time training with Martin at this camp. I mean, he's got some obviously quality people there, and he's been acknowledged. So again, like you said earlier about following one's ethos with how the fighters are with each other, I see nothing but respect going into this fight. So they've both done plenty of homework. And I mean, for me, I could go on about this fight all day long, so I'm going to cut it a little bit shorter than what I need to. I'll go straight into the prediction. I'm personally going to go with Martin retaining in the second round.
Mate, I do not know. I can't. You know what? I've my gut says Nugent, and I just can't explain why. I don't know what round. I don't know when. I think he retains. I just not got a technical reason why. Other fights, I'll say, hey, look, this technique plays into this. I think it's a coin toss.
Yeah.
A coin toss. I think it's maybe 60-40 or less Martin Nugent. But I think it could be fight of the night. I'll predict that.
Yeah, it's definitely there. Again, it's hard to say that, mind you, because we're 4 title fights. I mean, all these people. There's 3 co-main events. You don't normally see that on the card, even a stacked card. I mean, one have actually announced these fights as about 3, 4, and 5 are co-main events. They couldn't even pick themselves which one was going to be the supporting act.
Yeah, that's true. There's a lot there, and I mean, is that a good time to move on to the next? I guess.
Yeah, definitely, it's got to be done. The undefeated, I believe it's Yuri Lupicas is how you say his name, the Romanian lad. 14-0. I mean, good record.
Yeah, he's undefeated so far. But you know what? I don't think we've seen a lot of him actually in one championship. It's only 2 fights, right?
That's right, 2-0 in one championship. Very impressive last time out, mind. A first round submission victory over Gafarov, who is known as a submission expert himself.
Yeah, you know what though? I watched that and I think it almost just counts it down to the power and the leg kicks. I know it was a submission, but Gafarov was scared of him. The way he's picking up his leg, backing up towards the cage, or the fence rather. It was in the ring. He just got herded into the corner and just beaten down until that submission came.
Yeah, and of course on the other side of the cage, we got one of the most famous siblings in MMA, Christian Lee. He actually at the media day made the comment pretty much like you did, as in Lupicas hasn't fought anyone on the level of him. He sort of said fair play to his record. I'm not quoting him word for word here, but it was something along the lines of he's got a great record, he's a great fighter, but he's not fought anyone like me. And I think that probably sums it up the best. Gafarov, however good a fighter he is, he's not Christian Lee. I mean, this guy, I forgot until I was looking through all this. Christian Lee is still only 22 years old.
Well, isn't Yuri only 24? They're both young guys.
Yeah, I mean, they're both young guys. But to think what Christian has already accomplished at such an early age.
True.
I mean, his back-to-back wins. I'll jump back 2 fights first to where he actually won the title off of Aoki. I mean, that fight potentially he was possibly losing.
Yes.
Aoki really got that ground game going. He grappled the hell out of him, and it was looking like it was going the veterans' way. And then Christian, he came out. It was almost like he sort of he knew to himself, I've got to finish this. And he came out and he let that barrage go, and it was over with. And then, of course, last time out, a short notice tournament, the vacant tournament title. What was it? Was it a week, 2 weeks notice he had, and he goes in and he wins it?
Yeah. You know what though? For all of his experience, and he is a very experienced fighter actually for how old he is. Maybe again, it's about his age. he's quite reckless, almost. He comes forwards really fast. And I think that, I don't know if this is going to be a problem against Yuri, but I think it leaves him quite prone to being taken down. The way he comes forwards, he doesn't really maintain that distance very well.
Yeah, and it wasn't that the case. I forget which fight it was. Obviously, he's 0-2 against Martin Nguyen, who we just spoke about.
Mm-hmm.
And I forget, I got a feeling it was the first fight that Martin submitted him. Now, we spoke about the big hits of Martin and not necessarily knowing much about his ground game, but I am 99% sure he tapped him.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, he did. And I think that was, again, it came from that, the recklessness.
Yeah,
he came forward too hard. Yeah, and it led to that takedown. But on the other hand, I don't know if it's going to play with Yuri. Honestly, I haven't seen, there's not enough fight footage of him to find, because one, put out the fights. So Christian Lee, there's so much material to study on him.
Yeah.
Yuri, there are two, and then I found one other full fight online that I managed to check.
And a couple of dodgy YouTube camera.
Yeah, some like
camera
shaky
videos, yeah.
shaky the phone camera videos.
Yeah.
He punches into clinches and wrestles people down from there, as I understand it, which I don't know. But, you know, Yuri's quite reckless as well at the way he comes forwards. He punches into that short range and works from that clinch, but it's not in a very sophisticated way, almost.
No, it's a typical, for me, Eastern European style of fighting. You see a lot of the Eastern Europeans, they've got a very similar sort of style. Your Romanians, your Polish, then your Russian. It's all out there. They've, I mean, I don't know enough about those countries as I've never trained there, but they are so grapple dominant. I mean, you could probably reel off 3, 4, 5 top-class fighters, and their grappling game is on another level to anyone.
Yeah, and I guess that's where I think that might be where the fight is won and lost, is because Yuri is kind of an unknown. Is how good is that ground game? Because Christian Lee is quite reckless when he's just striking, but what he does do really well is punching straight into takedowns, and he'll punch forwards and then go bam, straight takedown, and then he's got really good ground and pound from there.
Yeah.
What Yuri? I mean, the big question is, how good is Yuri on the ground off his back? Because if he's good, that suddenly really threatens Christian, because suddenly he can't go for the takedown. If he gets into the clinch, I mean, Yuri's a big guy. I'm surprised he can make the weight.
Yeah, I think he's borderline for that weight class, really, isn't he?
Right? Borderline for the weight class. So, two options if Yuri's got better on the ground on his back. Christian punches into takedowns, ends up in his guard, ends up in a dangerous position. Other scenario, he punches, goes too reckless, ends up in the clinch. Yuri's got the power to control him there and to work out where the fight goes. So if Yuri's ground game is that good, I think Christian's in trouble.
Yeah, and I think this is what a lot of the worry is going into this fight. I mean, Christian is really confident. I mean, I know champions should be, but you can normally tell if it's a bit of bravado from the fighter. You've seen it no end of times with other champions. They talk the game, but you can tell they've got that look in their eye that's not quite there. Christian's confident. I mean, it's almost like he's got no doubt whatsoever. He's got a game plan. Obviously, he's got a plan, but he knows exactly how he's taking this fight. I've got no idea how. I think personally, I agree with what you said. If it goes down, it's going to favour Lupicas. If he stays sort of standing, that's where Christian's going to take it. This, for me, is going to be the hardest fight to judge, to pick a winner from, because it is, for me, it's a lot more 50-50 than what it probably should be.
Oh, have I got you, James?
Yeah, still here.
You're back. No worries. It cut out a little bit there. A little bit 50-50 than what it should be, I think you said.
Yeah, that was the last bit I put out, and then we had a little freeze on the go then.
No worries. Yeah, I'd say the difference is that I think the last one we discussed, the skills match up so closely. That really is razor close.
Yeah.
This one, there's not enough information almost.
No.
But on the other hand, you know what? Christian's going to have done his homework. He's going to know about Yuri. He's going to know, he will have dug out, you know, him or his team, they will have dug out that footage from anywhere they can to study it. He's going to know about Yuri's ground game. And it's going to have to be really good to make the difference in the fight. If we're going to do predictions, I'm going to say Christian Lee. And I don't, you know, I'm going to say whether it's with his hands standing or whether he punches into a takedown and works ground and pound. I think it's one of those options. He's not likely to get this. He's not likely to be the guy submitting. Yuri's got that power, and he's got the strength to stay standing. But if Christian can get on the ground, I reckon he can deal a lot of damage. And Yuri's guard would have to be fantastic to stop that happening.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you on the fighter. I've got no bloody idea how he's going to do it, so I'm just going with decision. I'm sort of sitting on the fence with this one. I'm just going to bank on the fact of, as you said, for such a young guy, he's got a lot of fighting experience, and against some top-level fighters, I think he's probably just going to use that bit of experience to do what he needs to. Mm-hmm. We could well see him piecing up Lupicas from time to time. I think it's going to be... I'll go with unanimous. I don't think it's quite going to be a split decision. I think it'll be unanimous victory for Christian Lee.
Nice. All right. Well, it'd be good to get a long one in there. If we're getting, I like finishes, but when you get every fight in the night finishing quickly, one after another, can make for a short event.
And yeah, well, it's a short event, and them couple of hours that we got to ourselves watching these fights then is over before we wanted to, really, isn't it?
Yeah, right. And like we just said, that first championship fight, probably not going to go the distance. It's going to be a TKO. Second one, almost could be definitely not going the distance. That could be really quick. This one, at least we'll get a bit of time out of it. Because you know what? I don't think the next one's going to be that long either.
No. This is the next one is the one that I really got a lot of hope for. I like both guys, both extremely skilled in what they do. Mm-hmm. But I just got that feeling, like you say. Obviously, I'm jumping ahead here. Nsang, the champion. He's like the poster boy for one championship, I suppose. He's loved. They love him at one. He's like a king in his own country, virtually. You know what I mean? They love him out there. Going up against undefeated Dutchman Rainier de Ridder. And again, a little bit like the last fight, on paper, it's going to be striking against submission. But I think where this one takes a little bit more, I think Nsang's submission is a lot stronger than what he's given credit for.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say, because I didn't read the full article, but I know one put out an article to say that de Ridder was basically like, I'm going to take him down and choke him.
Yeah.
And I hadn't really studied Nsang. I hadn't studied him a lot. I'd kind of been familiar. I knew he was a power puncher. And then before this, I started watching back all of his fights. He's got really good grappling.
Yeah.
Really good. I mean, who was it he went up against? And he basically just went from his back, went from trying to work with like single leg X and taking him down. And he survived an entire round, ended up on top and landed damage. That was his entire game plan for one round. And then the guy was exhausted and he came out and like TKO'd him. Admittedly, he won with his hands, but I don't know if the Ridder's like putting it on a bit, but if that's his real opinion, that he's just going to take him down and choke him out, I think he's really underestimating the ground game.
Yeah, I mean, de Ridder undoubtedly is a submission specialist. He loves BJJ. He said it himself, which when I first started looking into the guy, kind of caught me off guard. I mean, because your Dutch fighters, they're known for their Dutch style kickboxing. If anything, style-wise, Nsang is more of the Dutch style kickboxer from the way of fighting. Yeah. You're going to see him more employ those techniques, I feel. But going back a little bit to what you said about Nsang's sort of ground game, have you seen where he guillotine chokes Alan Mangali?
Yes, exactly. Like,
I mean, that was, I wouldn't say out of nowhere, but don't quote me exactly right on this, but I'm pretty sure Ngali was trying to get him on top, and he was sort of scrunched into the corner of the cage on his back, and Nsang was, and he sort of somehow manages to bring it to his feet, and then out of nowhere, locks in the guillotine, jumps, wraps his legs, and I mean, Burmese Python is his nickname. Ngali wasn't getting out of that grip.
Ngali was, I think, a bit shocked because Ngali ran away with that round. That was a 1-round fight, and if it had got to the end and that submission hadn't happened, Ngali would have probably won that. Like, I know one doesn't work quite the same way, but it'd be a 10-8 round. Ngali was running away with it, but Nsang clearly had a plan. He clearly knew what he wanted to do, and he managed to enact that really effectively and get that choke in there. And there were another 4 rounds for him to put that in there, even if he'd failed in the first round. He had a plan, and it was all grappling focused. And as good as Derrida might be at jiu-jitsu, grappling in MMA is different.
Definitely. For me as well, the biggest gap in this fight is going to be experience. Derrida, phenomenal, 12-0, 3-0-1, but Aung Nsang is 26-10. I mean, that is a hell of a lot of difference in experience in that cage. And don't forget, mind, he's on a 7-fight win streak.
Yeah, no, the man is
7-fight win streak as world champion. He has 7 title defenses on the bounce since his revenge then, I suppose, because he lost on points to Big Dash. Comes back, beats him, 7-fight win streak.
Yeah, his confidence is going to be through the roof right now. And I can't see Derrida winning on the feet. I know he's got a bit of power, but he just, look at his last fight, and I don't remember the gentleman he was fighting, but he took too many hits. He is just not.
Yeah, Atreides, is it? Is that how you say his name? It was the fight he won on decision, yeah?
Yes, he won on decision, but honestly, I don't know who I would have given it to. I know he won, and good to him, and it was very competitive. But I think it could have easily gone either way. And I knew he'd won before I watched the fight. So I assumed he got a submission at the end, but no. And I think part of the trouble with any jiu-jitsu focused fighter is that, okay, it's all about the submission. It's all about the ground. And if you can't get them there, you are in deep water and you're going to really struggle. The trouble with Derrida is that his takedowns are quite limited to that hip throw. Yeah. Right? It's always the hip throw, and he does it really well. But that means to get to the hip throw, you need to get into a clinch and you need to get the body lock, which means you need to be able to close the distance. There are so many steps to come back to before Derrida can hip throw him and end up on top. And Nsang, the game plan is simple. Keep out of the clinch. Keep your distance. Because Derrida's not going to shoot a double. Up against the cage, is probably the one place he's going to start threatening. And I don't even know what Derrida's takedown defense is like. He loves the Kimura and he loves the hip throw. But there's not a lot else he uses to take people down. I mean, he uses the Kimura to take people down very effectively, but again, that's all from the clinch. That might be from a body lock from Nsang. And so long as he spots that.
And what we've got to think of as well is Nsang, he's a big, strong lad. His last win, of course, was winning the light heavyweight championship against Brandon Vera. I mean, so he's coming back down in weight now. Is that hip toss going to work against him?
He's got good takedown defense. He's a really accomplished grappler. I can't see him. Derrida is going to have a pinpoint game plan in order to make that work. And not only that, but have you seen much of Derrida on the bottom?
Not really.
Because I've not.
No. And this was, I mean, I recently wrote an actual breakdown article on this fight, and I tried sort of judging them all at their own individual. Like I had one on striking, one on grappling, and one of them was on sort of durability. I can't judge Derrida's durability because we just haven't seen it. There's not enough footage there of seeing what is he like when he gets hit in the chin.
Yeah.
How does he come back from it? He's a victim of his own success, I suppose, because he's had so many of these early wins and phenomenal submissions. We just haven't been sort of treated to the long fight and seeing him taking a punishment. And I think for me, jumping into the prediction, this is how I see Nsang taking this fight. I think he's going to retain. I think he's going to basically, first 2 rounds, he may even lose to Derrida. I think the first round is going to be sort of caging him out, seeing what's going on. I think the second round, you're going to see Derrida trying to go for these takedowns. And by the third round, I think he will have broken the spirit, to be honest. I think he's going to take him in the trenches and take that win. I'm going for sort of like a late 3rd, 4th round, probably TKO.
I'm inclined to agree. Because I would say the one fight we did see him take punishment in was that last one, again, against the guy whose name I cannot remember. He took a lot of punches. So he's clearly not got a glass chin at the very least. And like you said, he's been successful. And people who are successful, if you've not taken much damage over the years, tend to be a bit more durable. So I don't think he's going to get sparked out. I don't think he's going to hit the canvas lights out. I do think he's going to start taking too much damage. I think you're going to see Nsang keeping his distance, keeping him at bay, keeping off the cage, and denying him that clinch. And eventually, Derrida's either going to get worn down and too tired because he's going to have to keep coming forwards and keep going for that clinch, which I think Nsang is going to deny him.
Yeah.
Or he's going to become reckless. Either way, I think you're going to see Nsang land those punches and get that TKO.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I just realised now we've kind of been a bit boring by here because we've actually gone with all of them retaining.
There's a reason they're champions.
This is it. This is what I totally agree with. So what I think we'll do then, I mean, there's all our predictions. That's sort of, we broke it down to the best of our ability, really. Just before we shoot off, I mean, what do you think about this whole event coming on? I mean, Chatri Xiong, he's put on a massive event here. I'm trying to think back to where there's been more stars in one event in a one championship fight. And I don't think there has been.
I don't think there have been. I mean, I think that this is... I think that he's saved up the fights. I think over the past few months, because nothing's been on, I think you've saved up the best, and they've all come at once. It wasn't the first fight in Singapore. They clearly tested it a few times. And now that they tested it with those 2 different events, they're ready to bring out the big guns. I think it'd be great.
Oh, for sure. And I mean, good old Chat, he's like the man that keeps on giving, and he's spoiling us with some top class fights a bit earlier than what we was probably expecting to start with anyway. And he's also now come out and said that obviously the European fighters are starting to be able to travel now as well.
He's mentioned there's going to be a European card, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah. They was discussing that, weren't they? I don't know if it's actually gone ahead yet, because I heard something somewhere about Italy. I don't know how definite that was, but I definitely heard Italy named as a potential sort of point for this to happen with. But going back to the European fighters, I know Nicky Hoskin has a fight at the end of, I think it's the middle towards the end of November.
Oh, does he now?
So they're definitely planning on shipping these fighters over.
Well, I'm excited to see it. I mean, it'd be cool to see some... I don't like to get too nationalistic, but if they start getting some British fighters over there, you've got to get behind them. I mean, I'd love to see it. It'd be fun if they manage it.
Yeah, definitely. And for me personally, the guy I want to actually see fighting when he's fit now is John Wayne Parr.
That'll be exciting to see. I mean, I think as the world opens up a little bit more, I think it's just exciting to see who else they're bringing in. The more the world opens up, the more fighters they get from around the place. And somehow we're managing to get not just this card, but the past few have been fantastic as well, even with the limitations on who they can get in. I think it bodes really well for, well, one, for the coming, well, I don't know how long, for the coming year, for the coming few months, however long. The fact they're doing so well with the limitations, and the fact that the limitations are easing now, it's a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. Just before we sign off then, a quick what's next? What would you like to see happen coming off the back of this event? Is it, any fights you've heard mentioned that you're looking forward to seeing?
I don't know. Honestly, man, I'm just a fan of fights. I like seeing them. I don't like making them. I don't like playing matchmaker. When they come up good, I just get excited for them. I would like to see a rematch between Xiong. God, I just don't want to mispronounce her name again.
The third fight with Angela Lee, yeah. We'll go with that
Fight
one.
with Angela Lee. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
I want to see a grudge match, and I want to see. Is it a rubber match? And I want to see who can come out on top.
Yeah.
Because they've both had the other one's number at this point. That is a fight I would genuinely really like.
I'm going to sign off with the big guys. Alan Angelani, as we mentioned earlier on.
Mm-hmm.
I am pretty sure has signed the contract to fight Vitor Belfort.
Ooh, the TRT Belfort again.
Well, I'm not one to sort of take guesses, but I would just say have a look at his Instagram and make your own decisions on the condition he's currently in.
I'll take a look.
The guy is lifting some serious weight.
All right, I'll take a look. I'll make up my mind for myself.
Most definitely. I'm not one that's going to sort of put words into your mouth, but it's definitely interesting to have a look.
Nice one. That'll be fun. Looking forward to it, I guess.
Definitely. We look forward to this now, and we'll have to get together again now and maybe discuss what came out of these fights.
Nice. That'd be good. All right, mate. Let's wrap it up there then.
Definitely. Great chatting to you, Rob, and we'll get back to doing this soon.
Cracking. Cheers, James. Bye.
Ta-ra, mate.